You can say what you want, but I never been scared. Never been scared. Never been scared.
Welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast, where everyone has a story. On today's episode, I speak with Chester Thompson. Chester is a 2000 graduate of Deridder High School, which is a Class 4A school in Southwest Louisiana. Chester played the positions of linebacker and running back during his time at Deridder. After his high school time was over, he decided to attend the University of Louisiana Monroe, where he will speak to some of the struggles that he had dealing with politics and college athletics. After his time at ULM, Chester ended his playing career at McNeese State University. On today's episode, Chester shares with us how he dealt with injuries as a player and how he battled coaching regimes during his times at Deridder and ULM. Thanks for joining the podcast. Now let's start the conversation. All right, welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast. I'm here with Chester Thompson, a.k.a. Deridder. He's that guy. So glad you could make it to the show. How you been doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here, man.
Oh, good. So we'll jump right into it. Chester and I did play together for a short amount of time at the University of Louisiana Monroe. So I'm excited to hear his story, hear his feedback on kind of his transition through sports. So let's jump right into it, Chester. So when did you start playing sports?
I started at an early age. I started with soccer, and of course everybody does. As actually a rehab, then I was just very active kid, and that's how I started. It was soccer, then it was basketball. Didn't play baseball. Didn't want to top my summers like a lot of my friends were. Then I got to junior high, got to football, and it took off from there. I was pretty good at football, which got to freshman, got fast, and our program in Deridder wasn't the greatest as far as prepping players out, like putting them out there. So you had to do it on your own, learning. So we didn't have the greatest coaches. Actually, coaches didn't care. They was there just to collect a paycheck and go home. And
so when you started playing, like did anybody convince you to play, or was that something you
instinctively
kind of told your parents that you wanted to do?
Just something I wanted to do.
Like how did you find out about sports? Was it just something that you saw one day at school?
No, as far as being young as soccer, I was pretty much like my dad said, "Hey, you want to play soccer?" I don't know what it is, but yeah. So that's how it started. Then for basketball, of course, I kept up with basketball a little bit and football too. So we didn't have like a pee-wee basketball or football team, so it was just basketball until 7th grade.
Okay. So when you were in elementary school, was that something that you played all those sports, or were you just kind of starting to narrow some of those sports down?
I played all. I try to play as much as I can, as consistent as I can, because I just loved it. I just had a lot of energy. And I guess my parents found a way to wear me out because I was kind of like the Energizer Bunny, just had a lot of energy. So after playing as much as I could and running and all that stuff, it kind of wore me out at the end of the day. So I didn't have much trouble. I eat and I go to bed after that.
Right. Okay. So when you kind of came into junior high, like what was your expectations then? Like were you just going to continue to play as much as you can, or
I did. I
was
a two-sport guy. I played football, basketball. Loved football. I actually loved basketball to a certain degree, but wasn't great at it. But I was decent. I would get you some boards. I like rebound. I love playing defense, and I progressively got better over the time with basketball. Then
okay. So at that point, where were you playing in football? What position?
I started at 7th grade at defensive end. Then they moved me to linebacker and guard. And because the reason why coaches say you was aggressive, overly aggressive player, so he needed somebody to play guard. And most kids in 7th grade, this is their first time ever playing football. They were real timid, like contact and stuff, and I just enjoyed it. See if I can just blow somebody up or something. That's my whole thing, is blow somebody up. So that's how that started.
Okay, and then like I said, you kind of rolled that out. Then you come into high school. So how was that stepping on the field your freshman season?
Freshman season, I actually quit basketball. I became one sport, which I probably should never done that, because dual sports is probably very good for athletes. I really do believe you should play dual sports if you could. It kept me agile. Basketball really kept me agile. I didn't play very much, but it kept me in condition, like speed-wise. I was much faster as a freshman than I was all three years of my high school years. Because I got too big, muscular, and just didn't have the agility, didn't have the speed. But as far as a freshman, I knew I was going to play, and I knew I was going to try to start I was trying to start junior varsity as a freshman. That's how bad I wanted it, but they wouldn't allow me to have that.
When you say they wouldn't allow you, what does that mean? Like, were you saying you were good? You were good enough?
I was pretty decent enough to actually do it, but they didn't want to take like certain players' spots on the JV spot. Like there's certain players that wasn't that good enough to play varsity. They didn't want to have a freshman come in to take their spot. It's kind of trying to make them feel good because JV really is not really, I can say, serious. I guess in our school it wasn't that serious. It was just people that couldn't play varsity play JV.
Okay. So you're saying you had a high number of seniors? A high number of seniors playing varsity?
Yeah, I had a lot of seniors playing varsity. Varsity, it was juniors and seniors.
Well, I'm sorry, junior varsity is what I meant.
They had a lot of sophomores playing junior varsity. That's mainly what sophomores did. And I was good enough to play on the JV, but they didn't want that to happen right off the bat. They didn't want to push it too much. The words were.
Okay. So coming into that freshman year, like how did you perform on the field?
Actually,
like you're saying, if you felt like you were good enough to play junior varsity, I'm assuming that you played pretty well during your freshman season.
Yes, I did. I was guard. I was linebacker. Basically, I played on the whole time, field the whole time. I was, like I said, I was faster then. I was more agile. I was playing dual sports. I had a good coach.
So how did the team perform?
I can't remember. We had a winning record our freshman year. I think we went like a 3-game win streak. Then we took a 2-game loss, L's, back to back. I think we won. Maybe went 4-2, maybe something like that, or I can't remember exactly. We was on the winning side of the records on that part. We had a good quarterback. We had a good receivers. Freshman year, then after freshman year, everybody just said, nah. Some of them said, I'm just going to play basketball. Some of them said, some people moved.
Right. Okay. So coming into your sophomore season, like I said, you felt like you could have played as a freshman. So, I'm assuming coming into that sophomore season, you were looking to start and to be fairly dominant.
Games as a sophomore, as varsity. I started varsity a couple games sophomore. I was probably still very agile, and that's where a misconception was because I was trying to get bigger instead of keeping speed because speed was a lot better than getting big. If you can't move, you can't move. And I started, I played JV for a couple games, but I started a couple games as a linebacker as a sophomore, and like the seniors pounded me because they wasn't used to having a sophomore coming there and bowing up, talking shit to them. I'm not supposed to say that now, but I was talking to him. I was talking to them like they were grown, like whatever. You beneath me. Whoever. They didn't like having a sophomore come in and tell you, hey, you beneath me. They didn't like that, so they made my life living hell. Some the sophomore guys are like, God damn, you need to chill out, Chester. They gonna hurt you. I said, man, they can't do nothing to me. And
well, I was just saying, like that's y'all. Like, so at that point, you were playing varsity, or you were still just kind of primarily playing JV?
I played JV for 2 games, maybe 2-3 games, and after that was off JV. I was strictly varsity. I was either starting or backup linebacker as a varsity player.
So this is interesting. So you were playing a significant amount of time during your sophomore season,
right.
And like you said, were you the only sophomore playing, or were there other sophomores playing also?
Maybe one more, maybe 2. One of my closest friends. He played cornerback. He ended up getting the cornerback position, but like I say, our coaching wasn't the greatest. They just put players in where they think they should go or where they wanted to be at instead of what their best position should be at. And I personally, there's a lot of things that shouldn't have had ever happened, but
okay. So you were saying you coming in as a sophomore, getting significant playing time. Some of the seniors had an issue with that, or maybe like you were saying,
some of them did. Spring practice, some of them had issues with it. Go ahead. And after a while, I started getting the respect because they're like, man, I can lean on this guy during hard times. Games get rough, rough enough. I can trust him not making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So
was it you coming in and playing and probably taking a position, or was it more along the lines of your attitude?
A little bit of both. I was cocky as hell.
A little bit.
I was cocky because I wasn't gonna let nobody just. I was the man on the freshman team, and I'm like, God damn, you want to make me 2 years older than I am? I said, I ain't gonna let you talk trash to me. Who do you think you are? And I didn't blow one of them up, and I had one senior threatened to pimp me against the locker one time. I remember this. 2 of them, they were twice my size. They pimped me against the locker. Don't you ever talk trash to us on the football field. I said, what you gonna do? I said, the only thing you can do is to pin against a locker. Somebody, you twice my size, both of y'all twice my size. You're gonna pin somebody half your size against a locker. Wow, wee. I said, y'all a bunch of losers. That's what y'all are. To that day, we're actually that. I got his respect later on. He said, man, he said, you got my respect. And a lot of them came back. I apologized, acted that way, but you got my respect. That meant something to me. And they came back and apologized and said, you got my respect. That really means a lot from a seniors telling that to a sophomore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And some of them I looked up.
So how did the team perform like during your sophomore season?
Sophomore year, we were probably at one of our biggest years, like size wise. I think we maybe came out 6-4, maybe. We made the playoffs that year, and we played Carroll. First round, that's when John Floyd was quarterback at Carroll. And as a matter of fact, John Floyd had a highlight reel. He juked me. I was a sophomore. He juked me. I was on the field. He juked me. And I can still remember that right there. But we lost to them 21-28 playoff. And that was
okay. And
we were still a pretty good team. We should have went further because the size we had a bunch of 6'4", 250-pound players on their team. Mm-hmm. They were just in wrong positions. Like the coaches, hey, what position you want to play, son? And they stuck them there. And if certain players didn't get a certain position, they cry, whatever. I'm gonna quit. So the coaches kind of catered to a lot of the players, and that's how that happened.
Right. And well, I'm just saying. So as you go 6-4 this sophomore season, you're playing significantly. But overall, how did you feel like you performed during that season?
Had a lot of hype. I had at the time before Keyser went to ULM, he watched a couple of my games. He actually came to a couple of my games and watched. And that was the word was he's coming to watch you, Chester. Because we played Washington Marion. I had a hell of a game with Washington Marion as a sophomore, and I had 4 sacks, 10 tackles. I was just having a good time. I was just in a groove, in a zone, and then if you could believe that, I was just in it. And
it's kind of hard for me to believe, but I'm listening.
Yeah, I was actually had a really good game that game. I was. Like I said, I was a lot smaller. I was 190 pounds. But like I said, I was quick. I was agile.
You're agile.
Offensive line couldn't catch me. I was able to slip through places a lot better. And I was actually McNeese. It was actually Keyser was looking at me at McNeese, coming to McNeese at one time. Because before I went to Monroe, McNeese was my first choice until the last 3 months, last 6 months of my high school year. That's when I changed my mind. But at the time, I was planning on going to McNeese regardless.
All right. So, and Deridder, what class? You guys were class?
With 4A.
4A. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I correlate that with the competition level. So that's still a very high level of competition. Right. 4A. So you guys finished 6-4. You guys lose first round to Carroll in the playoffs in a close game, 28-21. Like you said, you played a significant amount of time. You had some highlights, had a few starts during your sophomore season. So kind of take me into spring of your sophomore season as you guys are starting to practice and start up for camp.
We had a high expectation. We had we was going on our junior year. I wanted to get bigger. I went from 190 to 210 pounds, maybe 220 at one point. And slow down drastically. Our team Was that?
Well, what was the point of you picking up the weight? Like,
I seen
was that
players.
some-
I seen her looking at players like Zach Thomas at the time, and certain players like certain you needed size because being small you get pushed off a lot easier. You know, being smaller, but you got to use your speed and all that. And I got tired of that, so I gained weight. When I gained weight, I lost a lot of speed, like a lot of speed. I slowed down a lot. Like my body wasn't reacting like it used to, and or as overall as a team, we had the biggest offensive line in the state at the time. We were 6'4" and 250 across, 240, 250 across the line. We had a lot of athletes, but we was very undisciplined. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, we were very undisciplined. We were being very undisciplined team. A lot of crybabies. Yeah, I mean, we didn't, and weight program. We didn't have much of a weight program. We just learned, bench press, and that's a workout. You go bench press some, and that's a workout. That was it. No squats, no cleans, nothing like that. Like our football program was like bad, trash. I'll be honest with you, and it wasn't about producing athletes or sending them out to colleges. They just like you pass your time, play football, you're good.
Okay. So you're saying coming into your junior year, a lot of hype, a lot of expectations based on what happened during your sophomore season. You picked up, roughly between 20, 30 pounds. So you lost some speed, but gained, I'm assuming, some power.
Yeah.
As far as how you can handle offensive linemen. So talk to me about those 2-a-days coming into your junior season. What did that look like?
We was hyped up. It was with our KPLC and the local Channel 7 was talking. We were hype trained. We were supposed to be number one our district. We were preseason number one our district. Every team in our district had went to the state finals, and we were supposed to be the next team to go there. Coaches already predicted us. Everybody with our hype train, we had the size, we had the talent, and like I said, we was riding that high. You get that high there, you just like it was like a sense of invincibility. Like nothing can touch
right.
you. Until you, like Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched. And we always had a plan that we're going dome. We're going to the championship. And like I say, we didn't know no better. I didn't know no better. After I got to Monroe and seen other good programs and stuff, we were way behind. But
So how did your junior season kind of start off with, and then kind of take me through how it ended?
it started out good because we were just demolishing certain teams. Then we played our first biggest L we took was against Jennings. Seneca Lee and what's his name? Maynard. Sean Maynard was on that team. And they beat the dog breaks off of us. And I think it was KPLC game of the week. We were both undefeated. And they probably tell you if you ever talk to either one of them. It was hype train. It was like, man, Deridder's big. Deridder's this. Deridder's getting like 500 yards a game, rushing and just steamrolling everybody. And got there and just got embarrassed. It was like they beat us like they brought it up on Facebook a while back, and I'm sitting there laughing at it like, no, y'all beat the brakes off our butt. But when they did that, we were nowhere the same after that. They were like it broke the spirit out of our team significantly. Like people point.
So what were you guys? What was the record at that point? Were you guys like 3-0?
I know we was undefeated that game. We were both Jennings us undefeated. We were probably 4-0 maybe up to that point. 5-0, 4-0. We was beating everybody. We was steamrolling. And
well, I mean, you're avoiding telling us the score. So you said the brakes got beat off for you. But
it was double digits. It was beyond double digits. It was pretty bad that game. I can't remember exactly the score in that game. But I'm pretty sure Sean Maynard and Seneca Lee remember that game. I still remember that was horrible. It was like everything could have went wrong that game.
Those are one of the ones you try to forget, right?
Yeah. Then after that, we took that L. We took like 4 L's in a row after that. We'll jump up on a team. We'll get ahead, and we'll be up 28-0 and lose 31-28. Like we were just gave up.
Well, and you obviously you're starting at this point full time at the linebacker position. Like, and I'm assuming that you're considering yourself a leader on the team. Like, how did you try to stop the bleeding per se?
I'd be honest with you, I didn't try. I was frustrated with everything. Be honest with you, I had a grudge against coaches. Like, man, y'all tell me you got players out of position. You're not making the right calls. You're putting players in the wrong positions for certain situations. I was arguing with the coach, and it's probably my fault. I should have never done that. But as a player, but it was certain situations like I'm sitting there telling them, hey, coach, they're not doing that. They're not going to do this right here. They're going to keep doing this because we ain't stopped it all night. Why would they change something up because they ain't stopped it? And he said, no, we're not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And he got mad. We butted heads several times that whole season. Like I said, man, you're not even a smart coach. And I said, how you became a coach? And I was sitting there questioning the coaches. I was beefing with the coaches, like, how you became a coach? Just because you just filled out a position? I was going at it with the coaches. And it was like that team, we became a very toxic situation. It was very toxic. Players jumping on coaches' ass, jumping on them, telling them whatever. And I fell in the trap of that, which I probably should have never done that. But it was.
And you probably were leading the charge.
Damn near on defense, like, God damn, y'all suck. Oh, y'all can do something on offense. Y'all fucking. I'm sitting there going off on them, like, y'all fucking suck. Y'all coaches suck. Y'all can't call plays. Y'all don't know what's going to happen. Y'all don't know where the ball's going to be at in the first down. And I was like, Tim, just telling them. I was sitting there going at it with them. And
so was that your relationship with the coaches previously, like during your sophomore season, or this just started this year?
It started that year, I guess.
Okay.
It started that year, and we had, like I said, we had players, but it was like we had maybe 5 running backs rotate with each other, and we had players. They had a coach's son trying to make his son a quarterback, but probably shouldn't have been a quarterback. Probably should have been a better receiver. They took another guy that probably should have been quarterback, made him receiver, but it was just crazy. It was just like players didn't listen to coaches. I kind of realized, I said, man, these dudes don't know what they're talking about. Like, you sit there and listen to them on, like, we didn't do film studies. We never, as a team, we never done film study. My first film study was in Monroe, Louisiana. That's how far back we was behind. I was like, my goodness, we suck.
Okay. So did you know about like the coaches, like where they came from, or were they kind of already established?
They were already there, established. They were kind of like, I knew quite a bit of them. They didn't know much. They was like old school wing T option, and to order to run that, you got to have a certain talent to run that, and you got to be disciplined to run a wing T or option.
Yeah, well, it sounded like you had the offensive line. I mean,
we had the offensive line to do it. We was pushing people off, but it's like when things couldn't. When we're back down to 3rd down and 10, wing T and all this stuff don't work very well. You got to start passing the ball. We had receivers. We had talented receivers. The coaches was like old school. They didn't want to pass. They didn't believe in passing the ball. We had a field goal kicker. First game kicked a 45-yard field goal. And I always thought if you had a field goal kicker that is pretty decent, pretty good, you use them. They didn't like using them. And it was a lot of stuff like I'm sitting there watching this like, man, I said, why we ain't kicking the ball? At least get some points on the board. At least don't come down as a 0. No, we're going to go for it. 4th down and 6. Oh, we got stuff in the backfield. And after a while, it was like a festering wound. It was getting worse and worse every game, every week. It was getting worse for me. It's like, man, this sucks. I said, yeah, I'm hating this stuff right here. And I was so frustrated. Didn't really have nobody to confide into. Like, I could talk to, like, hey, man, what's going on? And I felt
well, I'm just saying, so, like you said, you guys started off 4-0, running to the buzzsaw with Jennings. Like you said, kind of shook everybody's confidence, players as well as the coaching staff. Then you kind of hit down, like you said, a spiral. Did you guys get any more victories that season, or you just kind of ended it on a losing streak?
We got one more win that year. It was against Peabody, but after that we were like, I think we had one more win. Yeah, I think we did have one more win. We went 5-5 that year.
Okay.
And we didn't make the playoffs. We lost every district game. Lost Leesville, lost Crowley, lost to Eunice, lost to Sam Houston, lost every district game. Washington Marion lost them.
So was there a significant change from your sophomore to your senior season? I mean, I guess basically what I'm looking at it, there's a difference in one victory. Your sophomore year, you were 6-4. Junior year, 5-5. But I guess you may be speaking more along the lines of a cultural issue that kind of shifted the team during that season.
Even I go back, it was like Deridder didn't have really a good football culture. They just had talent. They had players with talent enough that can carry, but we wasn't disciplined. We didn't have the work ethics. If we had them two right there, would have been a lot better teams pushing out. And after not seeing players get scholarships and stuff like that, it's kind of like a disheartening thing. Like, how come this guy didn't get a scholarship? So the environment becomes like a stalemate. Like, what I'm doing here. I'm around playing it because I love the game of football, but I'm going to get something out of it, But
right.
It became really.
So, all right, like you said, you kind of in that junior season, 5-5, you missed the playoffs. So what is your expectations, looking forward? I mean, you're saying that there's this huge rift. Like, how can you look at it? And I know that's a lot to ask for, a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. Like, how do you guys potentially mend this rift so you can move forward into your senior year?
They came in and cleared house of all the coaches there, except for maybe one or two. Senior year, we came in. We got Coach Danny Smith. He was the one that coached Cecil Collins back in the day. He was from Leesville.
Okay.
But he did bring some really good coaches there that I was able to relate to, like discipline. Like, it was like we had to be there. Summers, we had to make like 20 workouts in the summer. That's the first time for us to have ever happen. We had one of the days when the other coach was there. We actually had 2 days with this coach. He pushed he seriously pushed discipline, work ethics. And we were actually first time I actually power clean was my senior year. And first time I actually pushed emphasis on squatting. So he kind of came in there and changed the culture. At least instead of being as talented, just work ethics is try to push good work ethics among us. And so my senior year, I cut weight and I got a little bit faster, but not as fast as I was or agile as my sophomore year. Never got that fast again. But I got more agile. I was able to move. I was able to be more explosive with certain things, and it gave us hope. But we only had maybe 10 seniors that year.
Okay.
And we had a good group, but a lot of them quit during 2 days. A lot of them they just wasn't used to discipline. They was like, say, we'll come out and we're gonna do what I do. Coach said, nah, you're not gonna do what you want to do. You're gonna do what I wanted to do. And they pack up. I had a lot of teammates like, God, dude, why are you doing this to me? And I said, man, you understand all this is gonna fall on me, and it's gonna put the load on me now. And he weeded out a bunch of players too, and just working out. You gotta be there 2 days. If you didn't come there 2 days, you got to do not 2 days during the summer. You have to run extra after 2 days. After you're done with the gym, you have to run extra. And
so, what was your initial mindset like with all of the changes, when all of the structure and the discipline, when all these things were being implemented? Okay, I was happy. There's
something structural, something I can actually look into and say, I understand the reason why we're doing this. I can see why we're doing this. I can see the benefits of me lifting weights, doing power cleans, doing squats. And we had charitable deals. I think y'all probably did, like strongman, like bench press, squat, and cleans. And we had raise money. We did that. That's the first time we did squat and clean. We always did bench press. We did squats and cleans. And I realized I was a very strong squatter at that time. And like I said, it was just the whole culture, almost like a winning program. Like we're trying to achieve something. And I guess you get enough people believe in it, people will follow. And I followed that coach. He may not have been the greatest coach, but he sold me a bill of goods, and I bought into it. And he had some coaches on the coaching staff, Coach Johnson and Coach Broussard. and they were hard nosed. They were like, man, you got talent. And Coach Bondurant, I do remember Coach Bondurant. He said, you got talent to play at the next level. There's no doubt about that. He said, it's going to come down to your work ethics and your mind, state of mind. He said, there's players there, you better than some players right now. He said, you got a lot of potential in you, but you're not there yet. That's what they told me. You have potential to play at the next level.
So how did you? What does that do to you when you hear a coach tell you that? Like how did you feel?
It sparked fire in me. It sparked like the seventh grade me. It was played it because I loved it and it was fun and I enjoyed it. It rekindled that fire because that fire was almost snuffed out my junior year. Like God dang, like getting our butts whipped every week is. You're like, man, they gonna run up 60 on us this week. They was like. They gonna run up 60 on us. It's a team that tried to run 60 up on us quite often.
Yeah.
Just to make a statement with us. And after a while, that becomes disheartening. You look on that scoreboard, you look at guests or visitor 60 or 58, and then you looking at yours 14. And you're like, God dang it, man. What I'm doing here.
Especially when you weren't playing defense.
Yeah, I mean, like, goodness gracious. It was like we couldn't get off the field. Offense couldn't move the ball. We couldn't punt the ball. The punter punted, shanked it right out like a 5-yard punt. I never seen that in my life. Ball went straight up and went straight to the E. He went 5 yards. Total punt. It was like frustrating. Everything was going falling apart. Players didn't really care no more. I remember this. I still remember this to this day. That junior year, he had a running back. The only reason he got the position because his last name. He was one of those guys that family traditionally had good genetics, and they went off his And he had 1,000 yards. He was so happy that he got 1,000. He said, "I got my 1,000 yards. I don't care about what y'all think, because I got mine." He said that. And there were people in the locker room crying. Their seniors crying like, "This is their last game playing. This is the last time they ever played this." And they got this jackass right here. Center saying, "I got mine. I don't care about what y'all got, but I got mine." I'm like, God dang it. It's kind of like this is what we went to play with this dude. And went to the new coach. It was like he didn't put up with that. He didn't put up with that at all. And it like I said, he had discipline. And you wanted to play there. Not because you and like I said, we only had 10 seniors. I probably out of those 10. Probably 3 of them were like really good.
So take me to that senior season. Like how did it start? How did it progress? How did it finish off?
It was bad. I think we won maybe 2 games that year. It was 2-8 that year, and throughout the whole season we was losing players. We had players that would quit during the season. Like I remember we lost our first game. We lost by a field goal. It was 13-14. Not bad. I was playing Pineville. The next game, like I say, we lost every game there. It was like, oh my God, not again. But I still played hard. It was like one of those things I still played because he had one guy, a young coach. He was Coach Broussard. He said, you got to keep playing hard. You understand? There's people watching you. You don't know who's watching you right now. They watching that field give up and quit. They don't get a bad taste in your mouth. You say you got to still play for yourself right now. You said, and I got to think about it. He's right. If I give up on the field right now, it's not going to look good if I'm trying to play at the next level and stuff. So he kept that in my mind. He said, you got to keep playing every down. You got to keep giving it all, every single down. And like I say, we went 2-8. I actually ran the ball and became a running back because we ran out of running backs. I ended up having 700 yards that year. As a running back, first time running it, ended up getting 700. Now I got thinking about it. End of that year, I was 300 yards away from getting 1,000 yards, and I only played 5 games. I only ran the ball for like 5 games, maybe 6 games. I was like, it wasn't that hard. I said to him to get 1,000 yards and bragged about it. That's trash. I mean, it was trash. I did it my first year, and I'm sitting there like I almost did it, and a lot of coaches there was like pushing me. They were like, "Man, did you get your ACT done? Did you get your SAT done? Did you do this?" They were counseling. It was like they wanted to push me out there, and I was like I said, I had my mind to go up to McNeese. I was like paperwork was submitted. Right. I was going to McNeese,
Well, take me back to like when the coaches came to you and asked you to play running back, like because I've had some conversations with several people and they were for whatever reason, their reasons valid for them. They refused to change positions. Like why were you so open to just change positions?
To win. I wanted to win so bad. I would have gave up. I got hurt my senior year, but I left, like I said, I wanted to win so bad. Just have a decent year. Just have something I could be proud of. When I go back and think about my senior year, and I can be proud, like, hey, we done this my senior year, or we did this, and I wanted it so bad, man. I really did. I carried as much as I could. I was on the field for the whole entire game. When I got on the field, I didn't take off the whole entire game, and I was burnt out. I was exhausted. It was to a point I was in there, couldn't play. Once you do that, you're exhausted both ends of the field. You either second quarter, third quarter is going to show, and I was just burnt out. And it's usually third quarter is usually when everything floodgates open up. And I remember coaches asked me, "Do you want to run?" I said, "Well, I do what I got to do to win." I said, "I don't care." Well, he had a running back. He was a sophomore. His problem was he was still in that stage of trying to outrun people to the edge. And you got people just as fast as you are to catch him, or he'll try to juke in the hole instead of just trying to hit the hole real quick. And they say they couldn't get no yards running with him, but he was potentially he was the little brother of the running back that said he got 1,000 yards.
Okay, so you got that legacy coming back in.
That name back in, and the coach is like, man, we can't do nothing with this dude because every time he gets in the hole, he get in the hole and he'll juke. And it'd be a wide open hole, and he was sitting there just juke. He watched film, he'd juke right in the hole. Instead of just hitting it and go, make that one cut and go, he'll juke. And I was like, God. Then they said, come on, we got to need you to move the ball. And after a couple times running the ball, I was sitting there moving. Every time I was getting it was like 8 yards a carry, 9 yards, 10 yards a carry. And I had a couple good games like Leesville. I think I got my highest was like 156 yards, and only ran it for 3 quarters. And they won it because we got down. I ran it and then broke loose, got down to like the 10-yard line. I had a fractured wrist on my left hand, and they couldn't punch it in. Coaches wanted to make that young boy, that sophomore, punch it in and get the win, get the touchdown. And then the players, they started getting mad. Some of the seniors like, once you give Chester the ball, it'd be 4th down and 1, give Chester the ball. Chester was averaging 8 yards a carry, give him the ball. They coaches say, who you think I'm the coach? There was some rift coming on with the players with that part. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of chilled out and said, nah, this the coaches. I ain't going to go through that again. And
right.
So that's pretty much how that running stuff started.
Okay. So like you said, sophomore season 6-4, playoff berth, lost in the first round. Take a step back to 5-5, and then your senior year 2-8. So as your high school career comes to an end, like what are your expectations moving forward?
I was disappointed, and I had talked to a couple players. I had ties with a couple players, like LaGrange areas and certain players, and they was like, "Man, you didn't get a trip to certain sir or getting a visit or something like that." I said, "No." They had one coach told me I was still looking at getting McNeese. Didn't care. I was going to go McNeese because at that time McNeese was like a juggernaut in the Southland Conference. A couple years ago they went to the Southland Championship. They were like the hot thing right now. I guess the late 90s, early 2000s, they were hot. So I was like, well, and not given there was 2 coaches that went to Monroe. 2 of them played in Monroe, Louisiana, like Coach Bonnerant and Coach Broussard. And they was like, man, why don't you try to look at NLU? I said, what's in NLU? I didn't know where it's at. They said Northeast. Okay, what's in Northeast? And I started looking at it. I said, okay, Division I. I said, darn, Division I school? And you look at the past records when they was in the Southland Conference, they was winning games that they should have won. Okay, you lose to Nebraska. Nebraska's number 2 team in the country or whatever. You lose to them. Okay, you expect to lose that. But they were beating the teams that they were supposed to beat. And you, okay. Division I, that's a leg up on McNeese. They ain't that good, so that means I can get a chance to get a starting job. I said, man, okay. So I went out. They invited us to come out, and I remember Coach Coach Lambert.
When you say they invited you, like, what do you mean by that? When you say they invited you, what do you mean by that?
It wasn't an official visit. It was an unofficial visit.
Okay.
And I never got going through that. I had a bunch of
and before we get into that, as your high school career ended, like, did anybody on your team like get any, all district honors or?
I didn't get. It was so bad. I didn't get in the second team all district. I was bad. I was pretty bad that year. Although I did, my numbers were good. Like I say, you were 2-8 team. You gonna try to get all district over a team that just went to the state championship that went 10-2, and that's where you learn the political sides of football. There's a political side of things. Because the guy that got it, my stats were better than his, but his team won. His team were 10-2 in units. They were units. They were, and I didn't play so good in units because I had a concussion, but. They didn't make excuses, but it was just a simple fact that you give a winner.
You say you're not making excuses, but you had a concussion.
I had a concussion. I still played. But I still played the game. I still played. I still gave it my 100%. And but it was.
I'm just saying, like, I guess as we over the years have looked into hip injuries and the CTE and things of that nature, I still find it humorous. How you was like, well, I'm not making any excuses, but I had a concussion. That we still kind of push that to the back, and we don't give it the attention that it probably deserves. That we had a lot of people out there getting head trauma.
Probably still suffering right now.
but still putting it all on the line to continue to play.
Yeah, that's because, like I said, I wanted to win so bad, dude. It was like I just wanted the taste of like what John Curtis was getting, like. Like David Higgins and all them. I was envious of them because they were like, man, these dudes are traditional power. They win every year. It's a disappointment if they don't go undefeated. Like, you look like Mark Miller that went to Evangel, win every year. They don't know what a loss feels like. I would love to have a winning team just to see the culture. Even Sean Maynard, I messed with them a lot, and Seneca with Jennings. They had a real strong football culture. They kept putting players out. They traditionally every year they put a player out somewhere, and it gives you hope that that could be me next year. That could be me next year. It gives hope to your younger players that could be you. And like I said, we didn't have that in my school, and I learned a lot that the principal has a lot to say so if a player get picked up in high school. I learned that a lot.
Okay,
I learned. That
how so?
Political. They call the first person they contact is the principal. They say, "Do you got any players here is worth looking at?" The principal say no, they move on about their business.
But the principal wasn't out there at practice. The principal wasn't coaching the game.
They call the principal first. I learned that because there was letters when our principal retired. He had letters in his drawer from players in the past, like letters, just talking. He kept it. The principal did. And that was the killing part. It was like, oh my goodness, they went through all his stuff, and he had letters from players, like people I thought they should have went to. Like they had a dude on our team. He's in the Army right now. I looked up to him, James Green, my sophomore year. He was 6'4", 250, ran a 4.7. He should have went somewhere. He should have went to a McNeese or Nickel State or somewhere. He should have played somewhere. They didn't care. They didn't push him. And come to find out, the coaches and the principal, like I say, they have the two biggest say-so of all of it politically. If the principal say we don't have nobody here, they're not going to keep looking. Unless you just got a stud of an athlete, like maybe a Cecil Collins or somebody like a stud that just stands out that bright, that burns that brightly, that he doesn't need all that. Yeah, you can get away with that way. But if you got an average player or above average or whatever, the principal has a lot to say so in that. I did not know that until they went back, and when he retired, I think it was right when my brother was a senior, they went through his stuff and they found a bunch of letters from like interest of letters.
Okay.
So, but the coaches, I know Coach Johnson, he was pushing me very hard. I felt I was connected with him. I was connected with Barnerun. I was connected with Broussard. They were pushing. They was telling me, you got to do this. You got to get this right here. you got to get your ACT score up high right here. And I did that, did all that I could, and didn't get no. I went to talk to the coach in Nickel State, and did all this, and I was like, God dang it, this sucks. You pass that national signing date, then you get like, dang, well, am I good enough to play? And I'm not good enough. What's going on? So, I had a guy that went to Louisiana Tech. He tried to start. He actually played against Louisiana Tech. Had like 160 yards in Louisiana Tech as a receiver against Miami, and they benched him. I never understood that, but he got there and we got to talking. He said, "Man, you don't understand how far back we are coming out of Deridder High. We don't know how to do film study. We don't know how to do work." He said, "That's when they were the old coaches. Didn't know how to do film study. Didn't know how to read plays. Didn't know how to read defenses. Didn't know how to read offenses. Didn't know how to do nothing. Just like pee-wee football, basically." So when I got to Monroe, when I say like I wasn't get to Monroe yet, but when I was about to go to McNeese, they convinced me to go to Monroe. So I ended up going at last minute, go to Monroe.
Well, did you have any conversation with your parents on like your decision?
My dad.
Or the process of your decision?
My dad, because I had a school called James Madison. The coaches wanted me up there really bad, but they couldn't give scholarship. They were a Division II school. They were like some special case Division II school, James Madison in Pittsburgh. They couldn't give scholarships, athletic scholarships, but they was able to give other types of scholarships. He wanted me to come up there. It was like University of Nebraska at Omaha. There was a coach there. I talked to him quite a bit, and he wanted me to come out and visit. And there was a San Jose State. I can remember them. They wanted me to come out for a visit. I didn't want to go to San Jose State because, I'm the only one there. The coaches.
So, I guess so you had a team contact you from California, from Nebraska, and from Pennsylvania. But nobody from Louisiana was contacting you?
Nobody in Texas, Louisiana. I put out highlight tapes. My dad helped me create a highlight tape. We talked to this recruiter, this guy that was distributing him. He said, "You can play." He said, "You got a lot of upside." He said, "You got players that he was explaining this to me. You got players that are 5 stars." He said they're damn near max their talent completely out. They're at the highest they're gonna get. Some of them are. They're at their ceiling. They're not gonna get no better than what that is. He said you get a lot of 3 stars. They have a lot more ceiling to grow. And then he said that's where you probably sitting at. You may have a lot more ceiling to grow than you may not have enough ceiling to grow. And that's where he was telling me. He was explaining to me. He said you got potential. You can play anywhere you want to play. He said it's no different between you and the next player. It's no different. The one that got scholarships is no different. They just came from a winning program. Their coaches pushed more. He said wherever circumstances, something pushed them more. Next, I did everything I could, dude. I did everything I could. Just, and like I said, I had those 3 jobs. I remember I had them 2 right there, and I didn't want to go to San Jose State. It was like I'm going that far from my parents. Didn't know nobody out there. Nebraska, same way. Pittsburgh, I didn't want to. I said, man, this sucks. Not even McNeese. I was really, like I said, I really was hung up on McNeese. It's like one of the schools I really wanted to go. It was, and like I say, I was told to check out Northeast, and I looked in it, and like I said, they were beating the teams like they were supposed to beat. They were right. And at the time, I think it was transition that Keesler first took over within that time period. Keesler took over, I think, in '99, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe it was 98 or 99.
And I said, good. I said, this is going to work out pretty good. This dude should at least know who I am or whatever. And I said, okay. Went there to visit, saw Murphy, met Coach Lambert, Coach Murphy. Didn't meet Collins yet. Oh, God damn. If I'd have met him, I would take my ass back to McNeese. Tell you that right now. God, that dude hated that motherfucker. I hated him with so much passion. I hated the whole system. Only one I didn't hate when I got up there was probably Lambert. He was honest with me. He was trying to get me on special teams. And, they said they didn't want you on special teams. I was like, God damn. I suck this bad I can't be on special teams? But,
All right. So what I was just saying, so you make a decision to go to NLU, ULM.
yeah.
And so you kind of get up there and meet the coaches. And like, what does it look like for you? Like once you get there for 2-a-days initially.
Depression. They put us in that doggone corner locker room at the very end of the hallway. And like I said, me and Jervis talked about it. Me and Courtney talked about it. That was a telltale sign that this is not good. That was a telltale sign. But like I said, you're young, you're hungry, you want to do good, okay, whatever, let it slide. Whatever. They don't got no space in their locker room. Went there, and I get to meet some of these players that I read in like Louisiana Sportsman magazine, like David Higgins. This dude supposed to be all world right here. I'm looking at him like, really? I love David to death, but I was sitting there looking like, really? Okay, mate, man. Okay, you got a little stronger than I am. Okay, I can get that in time. And that's what you get from coming from a good program: strength, knowledge, and speed. I said, okay, I can get that. Give me a time. In which I was fine the first year getting there. It was like, okay, I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna get strong. I'm gonna get fast. Get my grades good. I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna set a plan for this. Ooh, that was bad. Like I said, that was bad. That was so horrible. I was so disappointed in that whole situation.
Well, what specifically was bad? So, like you said, you get in there that first season. Like you said, you kind of had you had conversations with the coaches on what the expectations were initially. So, I guess early on, your expectation was you was going to redshirt your first year.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna get stronger and all that. Mm-hmm. I remember, I think it was spring practice came up that year. And Coach Collins was pissed off. Nobody knew the plays, didn't know how to leverage receivers. I raised my hand. I said, Coach, I'll do it. I can do it, Coach. I was just eager. I want to learn. And he just said, no, you sit down there. And I remember Maurice Saunier sat right beside me and said, I'll do it, Coach. Come on. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, okay. I understand what's going on. I understand what the leverage is, and I guess that was in beginning to end.
Well, and for people who may not understand who Maurice was a scholarship athlete.
Yeah.
Chester walked on the team. Maurice was a scholarship athlete and a very highly touted recruit for the program also.
Yeah, I remember that. I sit there and remember that. I was like, I went there, raised my hand up, and I said, dang it, Maurice got in there. And like you say, Maurice was smart. I give him credit. He was very smart. He picked up on a lot of plays, learned really quick. And I said, man, maybe I can get second string. And you had people like Carlos Hughes, which he had like the prototype body of a linebacker. He was like, man. I was like, okay, man, I get second string. I can get second string. I'm good, at least good enough to get second. And then you had, who else was there? Oh, man. I knew I was better than, what was his name? Chris Brantley. If you listening, oh, well, fuck it. I felt better than I was better than him. I thought I was better than him. I felt that. But I was like, God, this dude got a scholarship. I knew I'm better than this guy. And
well, like I said, you mentioned Maurice, you mentioned Carlos, you mentioned David Higgins, and Chris Brantley. So that was 4 of the guys that were there.
Yeah. And I was sitting there like, okay, speed got up.
Oh, and then there was Otis Robinson.
Otis Robinson. I remember him, and I remember reading something about Otis Drew, but I think he quit that year or whatever. He was the other linebacker. But Otis Robinson, he was like the grandfather, I could call him. He was laid back, chilled, relaxed. Didn't let nobody fluster him. Didn't let nobody move his. And I like that. I respect that. And he helped me out a lot. I give him credit on that. And Carlos did too. Saunier, all of them. When I did get my little 5 reps in during spring practice, but yeah, and I should have known. Like I said, looking back at it, and after I went to McNeese, it was two totally different atmospheres.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, so you went through the spring practice. You felt like you didn't get a fair shake on playing time or reps?
Yes, it's a show. And I did pretty good at producing, like tackles and reading coverage and all that. And I think it was maybe not the next year because I came in, I had 23 hours. I still remember that I had 23 hours coming in my sophomore year. And they needed 24 to be eligible. I remember Mike Collins and Ray Newman, or Tack, called my house and said, this may have been the point where it was either yes or no, I was going to play right here. And at the time, I was working try to save some money for school and stuff. Because like I say, you walk on everything. You pay for everything. You got to pay for meal ticket and you got to do that. So I was sitting there working my summer job, and they called and they said, "Hey, I think somebody came ineligible or something like that. They needed a linebacker that sophomore year. Once you come here and take summer school." And I kept saying, I can't really do it. I said, man, I got bills, I got to pay. I said, y'all going to pay for it, I'll do it. They never would come out and say they're paid for it, but I remember even then Mike Collins called. He said, Chester, if you wanted a chance to play, this would be it right here. I said, and my parents helped me out with the some financial stuff, but I didn't like leaning on them too much. I said, well, I got, in my mind, I still got bills to pay. I still got try to pay books, fees, and all this stuff. I wasn't making that kind of money in 2001. So I was like, well, I can't do it, Coach. And that's the year I sat out that year, and that's when I think that's the year that Jervis quit. And I remember, and I go back and think about that. That may have been my window opportunity right there, because I think something happened that players came out ineligible or something like that. They didn't have enough players at that time.
And so over that summer, I guess this is after your redshirt season, like you went back home during the summer, like you were just going to work and work out, and then you were going to come back in the fall.
Right.
After you made the money to kind of help support you during your second year.
Right.
And you got a call from the coaching staff asking you to come to work out over the summer or come be a part of the team over the summer. And at the end of the day, you were open to the ideal if they were going to put you on a scholarship over the summer, at least. But other than that, you really couldn't afford to come and pay for books, pay for tuition, pay for meals over the summer just to be a part of the team coming into the fall.
Pretty much.
Okay. And based on what you were saying, you still needed one more credit hour.
Right.
So why didn't you just take the credit hour locally?
Like I said, I looked at it. I looked at going to Northwestern or Fort Polk, even at McNeese, and I was like, well, didn't. Like I said, at that time frame, I was just working at single-minded, just trying to get money for school and books and stuff. That's the only thing I was worried about, just so I can get myself ready for that. Now, they just say, hey, we'll pay for your room and board. Don't worry about that. Or, hey, don't worry about the room and board. Just come here. I probably would have bid on it.
Right.
But they didn't say that. They left it open-ended, which I should have picked up on it, that they probably would have. But, yeah.
Well, you don't know. Like, you don't want to get out there and be stuck.
Yeah, and be like, darn, I thought you were going to take care of this. Now I got no money for the fall semester now. And and don't get me wrong, I think about that. I thought about it quite often. Like, darn, if I would just bit, what would the story been like? What life would have been like afterwards? Would it made any difference? Would I have got the chance to play a little bit? Yeah, I was just trying to get on special teams. I'll be honest with you. I was just trying to help get on the special teams somewhere, just get a shine on or something like that. Because I think our sophomore year, you played. I remember coming out watching you play. And I was like, look at Big Mark. I'm sitting there rooting on and stuff. Like, oh my. Then you had, what's that kicker? Seagull. He dressed out. I was like, God damn it. I got to be able to dress. I can't even fucking dress. What the hell? I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, God damn it. I sit on the sideline. I said, they at least put me on the sideline. God damn it. I was so mad about that mess, dude. But I was happy for you. I was like, God, I was happy for you, man. Like, it felt like a relief that you got to play. And I said, well, God, yes, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right.
And
so what happened? Like, what happened during that first year, though? Like, I mean, you were missing 1 hour. So how did things shake out academically that first year, to where you kind of came up 1 hour short?
What was that? I dropped one too many classes, and it put me on.
Okay.
That's what it was. I dropped one too many classes. That's what it was. And it put me under. It put me at 23 instead of being 20.
So at 24,
20,
right?
Something like that. It was put me at 23. It was supposed to be 26 or something. I can't remember how it went down. It's been a while, but I dropped one class and it put me under. So that's how that happened.
Okay. So you were, I guess, just to provide clarity for people who don't understand the process. Like he was eligible to come back to school, just not eligible to play athletics.
Right.
So, just trying to provide that context. So, like I said, you kind of came back there that sophomore year. How did that work out as far as you working out period?
I wasn't with the team at all. And I remember Jervis that came in there and the regular school period, and that fall I probably had my highest GPA. Didn't have to worry about football. Had the highest GPA I probably had there. Yeah, that fall was it was good, and it sucked in a way, but it was. I had my highest GPA, and I remember getting there and Sterling was that what's the hall called? Sterling Hall, I forgot what it's called. God dang it.
Okay, yeah, that's right, Sterling.
Strauss. No, it was one across behind the Schultz, not Schultz, but the Wig.
Yeah, Sterling.
Okay. I remember Jervis was there. I'm like, what are you doing out here? You're supposed to be on the field. He said, I quit. I was like, God, man. I said, what you quit for? He said, man, that was the last time I was going to hold a damn dummy for this stupid program. I still remember that. I was like, oh. Yeah, he was, and I see it, and I saw it in his eyes, and he was I saw that. I was just like, man, I was frustrated. I could see the frustration in his eyes, like, you're good enough to play. I can understand this is LSU, and I can understand like a big program, like a serious program, like a Alabama or LSU or A&M or whatever. But this is ULM. Come on. I'm like, what? But I saw Jervis and I saw Courtney. Courtney said, man, I had enough of that shit, man. They going to keep using me like that. And then looking back, they were the smart ones. Me, I was still kind of like gun-ho. Like, I can do it. I can still do it. I can still, in my heart, because I saw a little bit of it, I can still play. I can still play this game. I know I can still play. And then, and I guess that's the... How
did that work? So, like I said, you kind of set out that fall. And so coming into the spring, you said you had your best GPA during the fall ever. So I'm assuming you passed everything.
It did everything.
Did that work?
GPA was high. It was good. And
okay, so coming into the spring...
I got to the spring, I said, okay, I probably had my best spring game that spring because I think, fortunately, some linebackers got hurt. I maybe Maurice, they moved Winchester over to linebacker. I think both of them were hurt. So they pushed me up to second string. I remember seeing myself number 2, number 1. I said, okay, it's going to be temporarily, okay. And that sense of pride, like, okay, I'm getting recognized being good. And I started doing good on my plays. Like, you get graded on your plays. I was doing good on that. But I was putting, I ain't allowed to put 100% of my time into football. 100%. None. I didn't put much in the school. It was like, I was going to die by football, pretty much. That's just how much. I didn't focus on school as much because I was working at the time. Still going to school and doing football, which that's a bad combination if you're not disciplined enough. And I wasn't disciplined then. Tell you that I wasn't that disciplined. And
where were you working?
I was working.
Where were you working?
I was working at AutoZone, and I was doing it was AutoZone on the south side of Monroe. I was working about 30 hours a week, and it was pretty chaotic. Because as soon as I get off of practice, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I had to go work. From 9 o'clock when I get off of work at 9:30, I go to study. Then you maybe have to study for a little bit, then try to go back to sleep. And most time, But I tell you this, I can still remember that one incident. I had to go back to this old incident. You may have been there, but you remember that time they did that chaotic workout for our spring? It may have been my freshman year. That they almost disabled the whole entire football team. I remember you had to go to the infirmary to get some like ibuprofen. He had his big old white pills. I can still remember that day. That was so bad. I was hurting so bad, so inflamed. I can remember this. Jervis probably don't remember this. I heard that dude crying. He was in so much pain because he had his arms up like this, locked, like he could not move. That's and everything I should have known. These people don't know what the hell they're doing. Because they told us they're gonna kill us. They tried to kill us, and Rob said, I remember Otis was like, "Don't let them do that to you, Chester. Don't let them push you to something that you cannot do." I said, man, I'm going to get this. I'm gonna impress these coaches. Shit, all this right was so inflamed. I still got a dent in my chest because of that. Like, it was so inflamed, it was swollen up, everything, arms was swollen up, legs swollen up, in tears. I remember you went to go get ibuprofen from the infirmary. Jervis over there suffering, crying in bed over there. I was like, God damn, what I got myself into. But these people trying to kill it. I remember that right there. They tried to. It was they gave us like 2 months off from working out. They damn near killed us. And I should let you know how bad that program really was. There's another telltale sign. Like, get the hell out of here, son. I still remember. That's one thing I do not forget. That right there. But like I said,
So you closing out your spring. That spring, you said you had a really good spring on the football field.
Yeah, I got time to show my reps. I had 15 players. I was getting majority of the reps. Me and Carlos were getting majority of the reps. And I was getting like B's and A's on performance, B's and A's on like product, like being in the right position. Sometimes I was out of position. Sometimes I was able to get back in position, but I wouldn't. I had a good spring. I had a lot of tackles, made tackles in the backfield, made a couple sacks. I was just like it. I relaxed. I wasn't as much tension of trying to make it, but I was trying to. I was there. I felt like I was there, and I just go through the flow of things. And then, like I said, I had a hell of a spring practice that year, and come back around that spring, grades dropped off drastically. Yeah. I was like, God dang it! I couldn't have one without the other. Because I was so focused on trying to get on the football team. Still working. I was like, God dang it. And then school dropped off. And I ain't going to tell you how bad the GPA was that. I had to take credit. It was so bad. I got introduced to, it was really bad that year. It was like, you go definitely go to spring practice. So I went to summer school. I worked up there. Instead of working at home, I worked up here. That's when I met D-Rob. Me and him got into it a couple times. Almost got in fist fights up there. He was my roommate. Love him to death.
So you were roommates with D-Rob and y'all.
Yeah, we only got into it a couple times. We only got into slugging matches up there. But I like D-Rob. I love D-Rob. He was crazy, but he had his ways and his stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I remember I worked up there took summer classes. Chris Harris was up there. He had to take that farm class out in that farm. Shoveling the horse manure and all that crap. Right. But I remember that. This was a stupid credit. And then I remember this is the year that broke me. I remember that because I did all this spring, summer training. I was like in the best pinnacle, like shape, speed, everything. Okay, I messed up on my grades, but everything's good. Came in the 2 days. My name went from second to the bottom of the list, behind the new recruits. And I knew off the bat, I knew off the bat something was wrong. I said, God dang it. So I went to talk to Collins. I said, man, what's up with this? What's going on? Well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Like, what do you mean I didn't do what I was supposed to do? I mean, I did everything I was supposed to do. What I didn't do? I did bad in school, but I'm eligible to play. I'm eligible to play. Had a great spring practice. Even you said it. He even told me you had a great spring practice, Chester. Keep up the good work. He told me that my spring. I remember hearing that from his mouth. And I'm like, I was shocked. It was shocking. Like, this dude sat there and told me I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I'm sitting there. Even my dad, he knew I was frustrated. I was just frustrated. Like, when I get home, I was just grouchy, pissed off. He even called and say, he told my dad he didn't do what he was supposed to do. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean?
He never clarified what that was supposed to mean?
So I went and I remember Coach Ray pulled me to the side and was like, Chester, why don't you go play offense? Why don't you come play fullback? And I said, you can play. Coach Ray asked me, at that time, he may have been a running back or something with offense. He was on the offense side. He said, why don't you come play running back for us? And that time, my spirit was kind of like broken. It was that little candle was flickering. It was like almost dead end. Like, I'm losing too much. I'm lost. My grades are trash. Lost someone I probably should never gave up on. Yeah, I was losing everything. I was there. I was at that tipping point of breaking down, like literally, like mentally, spiritually. I was about broken that year. Then I said I'm leaving. I said I'm going to McNeese. I remember I got to McNeese, couldn't practice.
Well, this was, I guess I'm looking at. So you said you got there during the fall. So did you finish the fall, or you didn't even?
That fall, I went this fall, did my grades. I wasn't great. I was almost depressed. I could almost tell you if it was a state of depression I was in. What I did wrong. I'm sitting there I was dwelling on this question, what I didn't do right. And he kept saying I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And that's the year that McNeese played Monroe. McNeese beat the shit out of Monroe that year. And I said, that's where I'm going back. I should have went there the first time. I was determined to go. So I ended up transferring for the spring. This is maybe 2002, maybe 2003.
So how did the rest of that fall work out? Did you just
I left the team. I left the team.
Okay.
I left the team. Didn't want another part of it. It was like, you're not even winning. You won the first year I was there, you won 1 game. Second year I was there, you won 2 games. Third year you won 3 games. I said, you ain't winning. You're not even a winning program. I understand this is like LSU or somebody's like winning something. You're not even winning. I'm busting my butt for the loser. I was trying to justify this. I'm like, goodness gracious. I said, this has been I said, it wasn't for you, Gervis, and some of the players up there, Courtney, and some of the players up there. It's been a living hell. I've been miserable. I've been literally miserable. And I promise y'all probably kept me going, like spiritually going. Literally, kept my mind clear. And I thank y'all for that. Cause I was about to lose. I was losing it. I was sorry because you put your heart in something and you just get answer a question like you didn't do what you're supposed to do. I'm like, what I mean I didn't. But like I said, I did that fall semester, and that spring I transferred to McNeese. And that's where these fools got me again. During spring practice, Lil Floyd Smith clipped me, and he clipped me right on my shoulder, and like it dislocated it, and it popped out, it popped back in. I reported it.
This was
spring practice that year.
Okay, but I thought you said you transferred that spring.
No, that year before. The spring before that, but I still played.
The spring before. Okay.
So this is where the medical records came into play. I transferred to McNeese. They said, all we need is to get your medical records, get it cleared from Monroe. Monroe had it. I was there training, lifting weights with these cats, and their whole atmosphere was like they didn't put me in no dungeon locker room down there. No, you was part of the team. I mean, and that was like a big surprise. Like, man, even the walk-ons were right there with the players. And
so how was that? I guess how was that when you communicated to McNeese that you were going to transfer there? Like, how did that transpire?
I talked to Coach Viatar, and I told him, the head coach, I said I'd like to get a shot. I just want a fair chance. If I'm not good enough, just let me know I'm not good enough. I'll go about my business. He said, we know who you are. He said, we know who you are. He said, just come down here and try out for the spring. If you're good enough, we'll find a spot for you on the field. And that gave me hope. Like, okay, this ain't no waiting 2 years. Ain't no, nothing like that. It was, we'll find a spot. If you're good enough, we'll find a spot for you on the field. And that gave me hope. It was like a beacon of light just came up. I said, okay. Went there, couldn't practice because they had to send the medical record. They didn't send the medical record. Monroe didn't send the medical record till like March. And it had that thing about my shoulder that popped out. The head trainer doctor said, hey, we need to get this checked out. And he did it, and it popped out.
Oh, wow.
It popped out, it popped back in. And he said, you can't play like this. He said, you need surgery to get the repair. I was like, God damn, I was so pissed off. I was so embarrassed. Like, I waited all this time, the whole time. This January, February, March, spring has already started. I already lifted weights with this team. I've been with them. I was always with them already. And that literally broke my spirit. Actually, I remember I was so depressed after that because I remember I went down with my parents' house. I broke down and cried. Like, I gave up. What I achieved was nothing what I gave up. I gave up on a person that I probably should never gave up. Regret that one. Gave up on my grades. Gave up on my future. Yeah, like I gave it all up for football, a game.
Right.
And I broke down. I mean, literally, my mom thought I was crying about I couldn't play the game. It was more what I lost. I gave up way too much in my life, and it was like, for what? For what do I got to show for it? I got kicked off a team because my shoulder bad. And that rest of that semester, fuck school. I was pretty much fuck school. Didn't go back.
Right.
Didn't go back to school. Then it was like didn't find a purpose in the school. And like, God damn, I can't find nothing. At that time, I was doing like a lot of self-reflecting. Like, what can I do? What can I get myself back in? And I remember my uncle told me about a degree I could try to get into, and I said, okay, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna pay school on my own, take off the fall semester, come back the next fall, no football, as a student, just as a student and only a student.
Right.
And I did that semester, had like a 3.3 GPA, my highest GPA I had ever in school. I was relaxed. I was able to go to tutors when I needed to go to tutors. I didn't have to wake up in the morning like I had to. I was relaxed. I mean, it was like I wish I'd done this a lot longer, like Jervis did it and all them before, because it was easy. And then when I hear people talking about student athletes are stupid, I said, no, you don't have no idea what student athletes go through and how their GPAs are reflected on it. There's a lot of effect on their GPAs. And did that semester, and pretty much, I had the highest GPA I ever had. And I said, okay, I'm gonna save up this, and I was paying for school on my own, money on my pocket, pay for it. And I think that's about the time you kind of went to Monroe or Lafayette. No, I think it's a couple years later after that, maybe 2005.
Right. I was in Lafayette. Right. 2006.
2006. Yeah, I was there, still in Lake Charles, and that was just. My whole thing was to get back. I did that one semester. I said, okay, take off the fall, go back in the spring, and...
Well, I guess my question is, did you ever get your shoulder fixed?
I lift weights so much that what it was, it'll get ache on me every once in a while, but I never have it popped out again. I just, like I said, if I keep the muscles, keep everything tight, and I guess strength-wise, it healed on its own enough, but never had an issue with it after that. At one point, when I was in McNeese, I sleep, it'll pop out, and like in my 20s, it would pop out, and over time, it just got better, I guess. But I didn't put much strain on it, but
right.
Yeah, he said, I remember Dr. Drez said, no, you cannot play like this, and he was like, you need surgery for this. I said, really? I said, you trying to make money off of me? I can still remember that conversation. He laughed. He looked at me. He's like, you ain't gonna play. And so they couldn't do it because of liability.
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, I absolutely understand. So did you kind of come to an understanding or realization that
it was over?
That your career was over?
It was over. What career? What career are you talking about? Career if you stepped on the field. I didn't get a chance to get on the man. That was a waste of time. That's all I gotta say. That was a waste of time and effort. And then I started thinking about it. If I'd have went to McNeese, if I had to do it all over again, I don't think I would have done it because I met too many good people in Monroe. To be honest with you, as bad as it may seem, I met you, I met Jervis, I met Courtney, I met some other people up there. They were good to me, and I cherished the friendship I had over the years.
Right.
And now I don't think I would have done it. I would have kept it the same beat. Maybe change some things, but I don't think I would.
So what advice would you give like high school or even players entering college now based on your experiences?
Do your research on that team. Do you understand what the coaches want? Like, there's some schools between McNeese and Monroe, it was like two totally different mindsets. They was like, McNeese was kind of like, hey, we'll find a spot. If you're good enough, we're going to find a spot for you to play. Monroe was, we'll give you a shot after 2 years. Man, you better take that McNeese job. At least they give you opportunity to. And then, even then, when I was watching them in the spring, some of the walk-ons, they got more than 5 reps. The seniors, the senior players, they didn't rep as much. It was like reverse in Monroe. Monroe had the senior players were getting all the reps, and the junior players wasn't getting any reps. There was like reverse. It was like the senior players were getting some reps, but it wasn't as much as like the junior and all them were. They get enough reps to run certain plays and all that. After that, they let the other players go at it. I still remember that. And they accepted me there and was like, it wasn't like, ew, you're a walk-on or nothing like that. If you you want to get in the play, I'll watch a walk-on there. And he was like, yeah, I can get it. They let him in. I remember Coach Collins told me no. And I still remember that. He told me no when I wanted to get in. But
Right.
I'll tell you right now, understand the situation. And every situation different. Like I said, if they want you, they're going to play you. And regardless what the situation is. As for walk-ons, go from where that's walk-on friendly. They're known to be a walk-on friendly school. If they don't, like McNeese was walk-on friendly, was a very walk-on friendly school. Like I heard, A&M was a pretty walk-on friendly school. But certain programs welcome walk-ons, some programs do not welcome walk-ons. And I'll take it right now, Monroe was one of them that did not like walk-ons at all. I'll tell you right now, they did not like walk-ons. It's like, what are you doing here, you peasant? I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Was there anybody that you modeled your game after? Like why you were playing?
Who I was looking at,
Well, that was professionally, collegiately, like just anybody in general that you.
Zach Thomas. He was
Okay.
short. He was 5'11", and I can understand. I kind of feel like I see myself being into him, like a Dat Win or Zach Thomas, short linebackers, the 5'11s, the 6-footers. We wasn't the prototype size, but we played wrecking ball. But you look at their careers, both of them had head traumas like from hell. But you think about it, was it worth it? He may say, yeah, it was worth it for me to go make X amount of money. Although I got a speech impediment right now, but it's worth it. But
Right.
I don't know. Those are two right there I can say I really looked up to. It gave me an opportunity like, hey, you can play this game.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so we'll give you a couple quick hitters, man, and we'll get you out of here. So, who would you consider is the best linebacker of all time?
Most people probably say LT. I like LT, but I remember watching.
We ain't talking about most people. We talking about you.
Okay, most people will say that. I'll probably say I like Derek Thomas before he crashed.
Derek Thomas.
Yeah, from Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. So, who is the best player you've ever played against?
It was I can remember. It was a guy from Eunice. He jumped. He had I think he came close to beating the state record in the high jump. God, he went to University of Lafayette, and I can't remember. This dude literally jumped over one of our players. It was like he stood there and he literally jumped over him. I'm like in high school, and we was like, whoa, he's going. You see that he's going somewhere, but I can't remember. I can't think of his name. I cannot think of his name. But if I had picked somebody that I knew was really good, was a quarterback from Crowley named Dugas. He went to Lafayette. I think maybe Aaron Dugas, something like that. He was probably one of the best players I've ever seen.
Okay. All right. Can you name any specific or big hit that you would say, like, hey, this was the best hit I've ever had?
My sophomore year was Peabody, and we punted the ball off. And you can't do it now, like blindsided people now. But I was like a headhunter like that. And I remember hitting two people. And I remember my whole face was splattered in blood. I don't know what I did. It was like a black flash of light. And they showed it on film and knocked one of the helmets off. And I remember I had a speckle of blood all over my face. And it was just like everybody was going crazy. I remember people were going crazy. And I remember like you get that flash of light, and you hit somebody, and you like wake up, and everybody's like, yeah. Oh, that's up good? Yeah. All right.
That was another one of those concussions that you were talking about.
That was a good one. I remember that one to this day.
And who would you consider would be the best team of all time?
Football?
Anything.
I would have to say it's not football, but as of lately, I would say the Bulls, the 90s, the
90s Bulls.
98 Bulls were pretty pretty good. And everybody talk about Jordan and all them, but yeah, they were a pretty good team.
Okay. All right, and the last question, man. Who would you like to see next on the podcast?
If you can get in touch with Courtney Nettles, I like to hear his story. He was pretty good. Courtney was pretty good. I like to hear from him. Or maybe Seth at McNeese. Give his perspective going to McNeese. Seth Lars.
Courtney Nettles, Seth Lars.
Them two right there, because I like to hear his perspective at McNeese, because I remember going there for that brief moment. It was like, wow, this is totally different than Monroe was.
Right.
Atmosphere, the whole atmosphere, like it was like a winning program, like an atmosphere, like a winning program. Monroe felt like my high school in a way. Like, wasn't winning. Got garbage coaches. I thought they were winning at big programs, but you're losing that little program. I remember they lost to Wofford. I think you played that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was rainy and cold. I was in the dorm, warm and dry. I was like, hope Marvin having a good time out there. They got beat by a team that went from Division II to Division I AA. And I knew that should have been a telltale sign this is not a good program. I remember that game. I remember that. Wofford. I look at it like ESPN tickers, and I see Wooford. I say, man, they beat us that last game that season. I remember Marvin was freezing his butt off out there.
Yeah, it was an interesting group. So, but no, man, that's a wrap, man. No, I thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate it, man.
It was
Like,
very enlightening.
It brought back some memories. I tell you that, man. It was. Man, I tell you right now, if I had to do it over again, I'd probably end up doing it over again. It made me a different person than I am now. You know,
okay.
Don't believe the hype.
You're probably the first person I've spoken to that said they would do it all over again. So
it made me who I am. It made me who I am today. I tell you right now, it made me exactly who I am. It put me on the path of never giving up, know when to quit. In certain situations, when not to quit. It's all right to quit when you're ahead. You know, quitting before you restart is two different things, you know. And
right.
it taught me a lot.
I think it brought really good perspective on, like you say, just not that situation, but life in general. Yeah. So I would agree with that. Thank you for listening to the More Than Sports podcast. Please like, subscribe, and set your notifications so you can be up to date on new content. Also, if you have a story you'd like to share, please reach out to us at mystory@morethansportspodcast.com.